Hello, I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and you are watching Tom Talks Rubbish. It's the place for interviews, wrestling reviews, and so much more.
Sure, you subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish. I highly recommend you subscribe here first.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks Rubbish, and stand back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by Sat from Wrestling Daily. So welcome to the show.
Sat Yankee here with, Tom. You're going to talk about that trash. We're going to talk that rubbish here. Man, I'm ready for this, man. How's it going?
I regret making that name so much, but it's stuck now. I can't change it.
Well, you know what? It's never too late to rebrand, but I feel like the name of your show, it shows your sense of humor. So don't overthink it. But
it's just the way that people respond sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about me or my show. We're here to talk about you, good sir. So if we take this back to the beginning before your exploits on the internet when it comes to wrestling, how did your wrestling fandom begin?
Good question. It began really young, so I'll probably say it was the age of 2, because I remember my parents were watching a videotape of Tuesday Night in Texas, which featured The Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan. That's my earliest memory. I've got other memories of WrestleMania 8, and then the biggest one would be SummerSlam 92, Davey Boy Smith versus Bret Hart, so that entire pay-per-view. So I'll say my fandom started in the year 1992 when I was 2 years old.
So do you remember how your parents started watching that, or was it, or were they wrestling fans beforehand, or etc.?
I don't know. Again, because my parents, they're immigrant parents that come from Congo. I guess they're always fans of wrestling. I guess because they came from Paris. For me, it's kind of like whenever your parents are watching something, you're watching it too. You don't really have a choice. I mean, especially when you're 2 years old. It's just something that I gravitate towards, especially when you're a 2-year-old child. You see a larger than life character. You see Hulk Hogan, and then you see The Undertaker, an undead character, and then you see Papa Shango, which freaked me out. Papa Shango scared me as a kid. And then you Macho Man with his colorful attires, Ric Flair, those are the people that stood out. Bret Hart was a family favorite in my household. British Bulldog was a legend in his country. So yeah, those are the things that stood out.
Okay, you talked about being hooked in by the larger than life characters there. Say we get in a DeLorean and somehow you're not a wrestling fan, but you become one in the current era, do you think you'd be as attracted because the characters aren't as larger than life?
I don't know, because I've watched WWE through every era. I feel like the recent one is the most struggling of all, because it's kind of funny, because going back to from like 2003 and 4, I felt like the wrestling, especially in WWE, was going a bit downhill in terms of content and quality. But if you go back then, it's not as bad as it is now. Now it feels a bit pointless. Now it feels like, why should I invest in wrestlers if you're going to release them in a few months? So I feel like I'll probably struggle now. I'll probably find it a bit too silly. I feel like wrestling is one of those things you have to get hooked when you're young, and then you accept any kind of silliness that comes with it.
Yeah. So have you had any sort of, I don't want to say moments where you've said, right, I'm not watching it anymore, but have you had like breaks?
No, I had an involuntary break in 98 because my family was moving houses, and we stayed like in a hotel / hostel accommodation in 98. So I missed out so I was in the middle of the early parts of the Attitude Era, towards 90, like the end of 97. Then when Mike Tyson was coming in, that's when I missed wrestling for a bit. I got back into it late 99 when they started to show WWF stuff on Channel 4, because this T4 used to show Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah.
So Sunday Night Heat was my return of watching wrestling. And also I used to collect Power Slam magazines. So Power Slam magazines kept me updated on what's going on in wrestling. I was confused to see guys named Test versus Meat. So weird names like that. And I was like, who's The Rock? And oh, what, The Rock is Rocky Maivia. Okay. So stuff like that. And oh, a guy named Blue Blazer died. Who's Blue Blazer? Wait, Blue Blazer was Owen Hart. So, you know, those are ways I found out, you know, I got back into wrestling. And then in the year 2000, Channel 4 had Royal Rumble 2000. So
It's
that
the
was
one
like
where
my
Mae
first
Young does
like,
the bikini contest thing.
yes, man. You talk about first impression back into wrestling again, like full-time fandom. That was it. So the break was involuntary from, you know, the 98 portion and middle of 99. And Power Stone helped me keep in touch and collecting the WWF magazines as well. But I'll say proper getting back into it was 2000, but it wasn't by choice. That's the only time I had a break. 2 years. It's from 98 to 2000.
Just to clarify, because I may not have understood the question, your break wasn't by choice, or
yeah, it wasn't by
getting
choice.
back into wrestling wasn't by choice.
No, the break wasn't by choice. Sorry, the break wasn't by choice because we had no choice. We were moving houses. We didn't have access to get, you know, to have satellite or cable, or wherever it was to watch wrestling. Because I used to watch wrestling on satellite, so I was able to watch Nitro on TNT. And I used to watch Raw on Sky Sports. So I used to I was in the middle of the Attitude Era, and then it got taken away from me for a couple of years. Then I came back into the 2000s.
What is something from the 98, 99 era that you've gone back to watch since maybe having the network, or during some downtime and you found a DVD or a cassette or something and you're like, I wish I was watching as a fan back then?
So I was lucky that before, you know, nowadays people are lucky with the WWE network, but I was lucky I had friends in school that watch wrestling. And so I used to borrow tapes. That's what it was. I used to borrow tapes. And I caught up with the network. I caught up with the Raws that I missed out, the years I missed out of Raw, even when SmackDown started in 99. Me and my younger brother, Max, we basically caught up on all the Raws and SmackDown. In terms of pay-per-views, I was borrowing mates' DVDs, videotapes to catch up on what I've missed. And in terms of what I miss, and I was like, oh, darn it, it's probably the McMahon and Austin feud, even because I was there from the beginning. I saw when Austin gave Vince the first Stone Cold Stunner in Madison Square Garden in 1987, Stone Cold getting arrested. I was watching during that time period, so I didn't see it when it escalated. I guess the more X-rated nature of it, you know, the more boobs involved. I don't know if my mom would have allowed me, you know, I would have been 8 at the time. I don't think she would have allowed the more risque aspect. Even the DX entrance became a bit too risque because they had
definitely
stripper pole thing. The stripper pole thing in the beginning of the music video, I was a bit like, oh, it's getting a bit too raunchy. It's getting a bit too raunchy.
As someone that grew up with the Attitude Era, and I've heard countless stories from like the Cultaholic crew and the What Culture crew of it always seemed to be during, shall we say, the awkward and moments that you're like, oh, I wish I wasn't a wrestling fan, that families walked in. Do you remember a moment when someone walked in that wasn't a fan that you were like, I'm not watching this, I'm not watching this?
I don't know. I didn't have moments like that again because when the awkward moments did happen, I wasn't watching wrestling. So I think it definitely would have been like bikini contests and stuff like that with Sable, or top skin accidentally ripped off, that my mom would have not been happy because I did come from a religious household. My mom was very much devout religious woman, and I don't think she would have appreciated it because wrestling was really changing and Bret Hart left by that time. So back in the days, there wasn't nothing too risque. Maybe Marlena, aka Terry Runnels, getting her top ripped off on the episode of Shotgun Saturday Night. She exposed her breast or from the side. Again, the Sultan had Goldust ready in the camel clutch and he got distracted by Marlena's chest. That's the only one I remember, but I don't think my mom paid too much attention to that. So yeah.
Fair enough. So if we take it to, actually, another question first. You've said you're someone that's not had a lot of breaks other than your involuntary break in 98, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
What has been the era that you've struggled with the most and thought, oh, I should take a break here, but it's kept you sucked in, sort of thing?
Maybe 2004. The reason I say that is because back then JBL became WWE champion on SmackDown and Triple H was still in the midst of his reign of terror on Raw. So those were quite tough periods. The periods that kept me going was Eddie Guerrero becoming WWE champion. At the time, the Murderer became champion as well. Chris Benoit, I was a fan of his back then before he did the unfortunate things. So that was the shining moments. You know, Shelton Benjamin coming up was a bright shining moment. Edge finally getting his overdue break into the main event was a shining moment in 2004. But the thing that nearly made me leave was like, you know, JBL's title. And initially, I've grown to appreciate it. I grew to appreciate it as it went on, but in the beginning it was a struggle. SmackDown and Raw, it seemed like it with Lesnar leaving, Goldberg leaving, they were gonna through another restructure. The Rock did a part-time return and left. Austin didn't stick around as a Raw sheriff for that long, so I felt like Raw and SmackDown went through a large shift, which was a bit, you know, naff for a bit.
Yeah. So what about current day? What is your consumption of wrestling for work, for like Wrestling Daily and whatever else you're involved in? And then what is the stuff that you would be watching as a fan if you didn't have to watch it for work?
That's funny enough. So before I started working with Wrestling Daily, so I've been doing it for 4 months now, since like July. I never used to watch Raw because Raw was the worst one. I would watch SmackDown because I'm very much enjoying Roman Reigns and the bloodline, and I'm enjoying the storyline of the tribal chief that I think is incredible. But for the longest time, Raw was too many rematches, not enough stakes. It just felt like they didn't care, and I was like, why should I care? But of course, now doing Wrestling Daily, I was doing a Tuesday show. You know, I'm doing a Tuesday show with Alex. I know sometimes we may have to talk about something that happened on Raw, so I'd watch it during my time at work, like, because in between work it's quite lenient. I can go dip in and out of doing my work and watch Raw when I can. And I watch SmackDown. NXT nowadays is more I skip and see things. If I hear cool things, I'll watch it. I skip certain matches because I don't really have that much time. AEW, I watch Dynamite and Rampage mostly during the weekend times to catch up or whenever I get time. And sometimes Impact stuff. It depends. Triple A, or as I like to call it by its name, Triple R. I watch the Triple Mania shows and other big shows because my partner, she's not a huge wrestling fan. She's a casual observer. She likes the Lucha Libre style. She used to like AEW, but she I don't know, she kind of like regressed a little bit with wrestling. But yeah, Triple A and WWE and AEW.
Okay. But then what is the show that you're like, say you weren't involved in the wrestling media at all, that you'd be like, I've got to make sure I've checked that out every week?
AEW, because it feels like with AEW, they actually care. There's a reason to watch it. With WWE, I'm like, what's the point? And I'm still watching it because, you know, of the work that I do on Wrestling Daily, but also because Big E's champion. That's like a nice caveat to watch. Roman Reigns, you know, I'm interested. I'm invested to see who's the guy to finally beat him because he hasn't been pinned in like nearly 2 years or so forth. I'm heavily invested in that storyline. But AEW, everything from top to bottom has been incredible. I feel like you get rewarded for paying attention in terms of storylines. The wrestling action is incredible. They don't insult your intelligence. So I'm really much enjoying AEW.
And we'll get into this in another segment that I like to call generic questions a bit later on. But
cool.
What is the storyline currently in AEW that you're like, oh, it's time for this? Do you know what I mean?
I feel like most of their storylines are like that. Currently, I think the last time was definitely CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. That was very much, you know, rubbing my hands moment. I like Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson right now. That's really good. As we you know seen the promo battle between MJF and CM Punk. So those are the ones.
Have you seen Dynamite at the time of recording?
Only the intro part. Then they got to QT Marshall versus CM Punk, and I feel like I'm being punished for watching that match.
One thing I will say, because I'm going to hold on to this one for quite a while. It won't be going up till 2022. So I'm going to try and keep it sort of as... what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word.
We were trying to keep it spoiler-free or...
Not spoiler-free, but like basically not as like focused on current wrestling because things might change by the time this goes up.
Okay. I understand. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
But one thing I will say, that match between QT Marshall and CM Punk was actually really good.
QT Marshall's a good wrestler. I just have no interest in watching him. To be honest, it doesn't float my boat. Him and his hair plugs are just not my vibe.
Fair enough. And his character's very bland, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes it seems like they're self-aware that he's not exactly the most charismatic of guys. Like I've mentioned on Wrestling Daily Show, he looks like a guy who's always holding in a fart. So
yeah,
I got nothing against him. It's just that he's not really particularly exciting for me.
fair enough. So we'll go on to Wrestling Daily now. How did you become involved with Wrestling Daily?
So I'm gonna give you a little scoop for your interview. So because I never really mention this often, but I'm really good friends with the IWGP World Champion Will Ospreay. I've known him since 2008. I want to say 2008 and 9. We go back in the backyard wrestling days. So Will Ospreay is one of my dearest and closest friends.
Okay.
So when he came to the UK from his back and neck injury in New Japan, I went to see him and we got to talking. I was like, hey man, because we used to work in backyard. So I used to do a lot of like announcing stuff, and I was also his manager at one point, and when we used to do backyard wrestling back in the days. So I was very much known for my charisma and so forth. And he's like, man, I told him, like, he at one point he was like, hey, we should do something, we should work together on something on Rev Pro. I even sent in like promos to Andy Colden and stuff like that, and Andy Colden liked it, but there was no follow-up, which was fine, because I went to Will that I want to work for Wrestle Talk. I was like, I want to get into the wrestling space, because I felt like there wasn't enough black people. I didn't see enough black people talking about wrestling. I was very frank about that. I was like,
yeah,
on the YouTube front, it's just too white.
That's something that your co-host SP3 brought up.
Yeah,
I had him
very much so. Yeah. So it was just very white. SP3, thank you for bringing him up. He's someone I saw like on Quizomania, and then I stumbled onto Wrestling Daily. I saw him talking to Louis. And I was like, I like the way this guy comes across. He's very knowledgeable. Then him having his own YouTube channel, and I really much appreciated it. And it was very inspiring. And I was like, I need to see more black people. And I'm very happy to see someone like SP3. So when I spoke to Will, like, I want to work for Wrestle Talk, Will lit up. He's like, I know Ollie, I can give you Ollie's number. And I was like, no. Don't give me this guy's number. So I call him, and I'm like, hey, I'm Will's mate. Can you, I want to work for Wrestle Talk. So I was like, speak to Ollie and, big me up. And then if he's interested, then we'll take it from there. So he spoke to Ollie, and he goes, oh, Ollie said, here's his email him. So I took my time because I was going away with my girlfriend. We're going to the countryside. So I spent a week thinking about how I was going to approach it. Is it a standard CV, standard email? So I decided to do it because it's wrestling. I was like, I'm going to do a Tough Enough style introduction video of myself. So I did a Tough Enough introduction video. Yeah. So I had my girlfriend film it. It's a 4-minute video. I introduced myself, what my wrestling fandom is like, how I discovered Wrestle Talk, because I used to watch Wrestle Talk on Challenge TV after TNA. So I know I know the Wrestle Talk magazine channel when Joe Ross and Patrick Lennon and Francesca, they used to host it. I remember
that.
Yes. So I go way. So I used to watch it from that days, though, back in the days when Alex Shane used to own it. So my fandom with Wrestle Talk goes so I hit my microphone. It goes that far. So I put that in the video. And then I know the style of humor, because I like Wrestle Talk's humor. They're very silly people. I even likened them to like the Monty Python of wrestling content, where content create. So
oh no.
Stay.
Is your internet really bad?
Can you see me?
I can, but you've frozen.
Tom, can you see me? Am I back? Are we all good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah. Sorry, I got 2 internet routers. They were combating each other. One's a bit unstable, so I changed over before we lost connection. So yeah, sorry. I was saying that in my video, I did a towards the end. I had my girlfriend squirt baby oil on my chest because I ripped open my shirt, and I did a dance to. Have you ever heard of the Heavenly Bodies?
I know the name, but I couldn't tell you anything about them.
No problem. No. So the Heavenly Bodies was a tag team that Jim Cornette managed. They're from Smoky Mountain, and then one of the wrestlers, his name is Jimmy Del Rey, Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey. This ginger guy, not very good looking, and he used to do like a stripper dance, which used to make me and my brother laugh as kids. So I did it for the video, which everyone loved. So me ripping off my shirt and getting squirted with baby oil. I guess in their mind when they saw the video, because everyone loved the video, it kind of reminded them of Big E kind of style of humor. So they thought I was larger than life. And then Ollie said he likes my video. He thinks I'm very charismatic, but they didn't have any place for me at the moment. They said they'll keep me in mind. Then Louis left Wrestling Daily. Then I got an email from Pete Quinnell saying, hey, are you interested in co-hosting the show with Alex McCarthy? It'll be Tuesdays. And the two caveats were, if I can get over with the audience and I got along with my co-hosts, then it will lead to a regular gig. So those first 4 weeks, that was my trial run. And lo and behold, I got over on the first week, and it's been incredible. And I've been here since then. So yeah. But the scoop for you is Willow Spray is the one that hooked me up with the email, but I did the video that got me into the door.
That's so cool. And wrestling is a very niche and small community, isn't it? So it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you speak to someone there, I always feel weird saying friends with a wrestler, but they know someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, the thing is, I knew Will long before he became the wrestling superstar that he is today. The wrestling superstar I knew he would be, because he was this kid with a wrestling ring. I went to the same college as his ex-girlfriend. His ex-girlfriend's the one, she overheard me and my friend talking about wrestling, and she goes, oh, my boyfriend does wrestling. And she showed me some of the videos, and even his backyard wrestling is really good wrestling. Even like Kip Sabian is another guy that I know in real life as well. He used to wrestle in backyard wrestling with me and Will and stuff like that. So I know Kip Sabian as well. I know, this guys have done well. So yeah, Will Ospreay is the one that, he helped me out. But like another friend of mine said, I did the video. That's what got me in. I may have gotten the email, but I could have sucked. You know what I'm saying? But I backed it up.
You said in that video that you were quite bouncy and quite charismatic. Is that natural for you, or is there something you have to do when you know you're going to be on camera to get into that zone?
That's me in real life, man. That's me. I'm just being me on camera. In terms of getting in the zone, I was nervous in the beginning. Don't get it twisted. When I did my first Wrestling Daily show, I was nerve-wracking as heck because I've never done it before. Because I did content creation, I've taken a break from it because I'm doing this at the moment. But, I've never done anything of that scale before. So I didn't know how people would take to me. So when I came in, I was very humble because that was the truth. Because I was very thankful to be doing it. Because I'm not someone like SP3 who's been hustling for years. When he got his opportunity, I'm just someone, who, knew someone that knew the guy, and I did my video, but, I didn't hustle and grind to get to this spot. Do you know what I mean? So
exactly.
I
think that's why you and I get along so well, because we've had similar journeys of just like not getting lucky, but you know what I mean? Like having people vouch for us sort of thing.
Yeah, that is true, because there was no vacancies at Wrestle Talk, and I mentioned that I want to work. I said this in the video when the wrestling YouTube landscape is a bit too milky. Put some chocolate in there, and then Ollie goes,
"Oh, that's a brilliant way of putting it." I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but
no, please do laugh. Keep it honest. I'm very much, sometimes I do very much like filter. I do my best not to go too overboard. I don't want to say something that'll get me kicked off. That would be offensive. That's one thing I'm trying not to be offensive. But yeah, it's true. There ain't that much black people. It's just too many white people. And Alex McCarthy, very much so, he said he agreed. So the Wrestling Daily lineup that you see is very much Alex McCarthy's vision, because he originally, was offered, just
he was
Louis.
This is how it was phrased to me, and please tell me if I'm wrong. This is how SP3 put it. He was offered Louis, a couple of the Wrestle Talk guys, and SP3, right?
From what Alex told me, he was just offered Louis. So it was just meant to be him and Louis doing wrestling daily, and he wasn't interested in just having Louis. He wanted it to be more diverse. He knew Steph Chase. He had appeared on True Heel Heat before, and he liked SB3's work. So he said, I want these guys. I wanted to mix it up. So Alex is behind that. And then when Louis was leaving, he was given options of different guys that's more established. One of them being, was it Joe Holbert, the one that's working now on Fightful? So he was one of the options and someone else. But Alex saw my video. He goes, that's the guy. Like, he could have went with anyone else, but he just saw that video, made him laugh. He goes, I want that guy. So Alex took a chance on me.
How?
Because Ollie, so sorry to cut you off. Ollie took a chance on me as well. Because Ollie said, because from what I heard, is that Ollie said, there's this guy, we want to work with him, but we don't know where to slot him. What do you think of him? And that's when Alex checked out the video and said, yeah, I want that guy. Sorry, what were you going to say? Sorry.
All I was going to say is, because it's the 2 days, it's, correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's you and Alex on a Monday, correct?
It's on a Tuesday. Do you
on a
watch
Tuesday.
The show? Do you watch the show? Do you watch my show?
I do, but my memory doesn't work very well.
I'm messing with you. So on Mondays is me and SB3. So originally with Wrestling Daily, when I joined, it was just Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. So I was a Tuesday co-host. SB3 was Wednesday. Steph Chase was Thursdays, talking about AEW. And Friday we always had a mystery guest from someone that, you know, from the media industry that Alex would get on board. Then we had a post show on Monday because Alex is a busy guy doing his radio gig, so he couldn't really do Monday. So me and SB3 got asked to do a Monday show together because I think we worked together once on a Tuesday and we had great chemistry when SB3 filled in for Alex. So we did a Monday show together. I swear it was meant to be a one-off, but people took to it. Mocha Mondays, as it's now known, which was coined by SB3. We did that one show Monday. People loved it. And then we continued doing it for weeks. And I was like, is this official? Am I doing a Monday show in addition to Tuesday? And then it's become a permanent thing for now.
Okay. So you talked about your chemistry with SP3 there. Was it apparent straight away, or was it something you both had to work on?
It was apparent straight away because with Alex McCarthy, how can I explain this? You ever have a parent? You got two parents. One, you feel like you have to be on your best behavior, and the other one, you feel like you can do whatever. So, Alex McCarthy, as a person, he's not a strict person. He's very much lovely guy.
Great guy. He's been on the channel before. Yeah,
great guy. I just feel like I had to be on point, and I couldn't be. I didn't want to be too silly or step on his toes or whatever. When me and SP3 did the show, I don't know, I felt like I can show people my true self more because I've been able to do that now with Alex. But because when I first came on the show, I was very much a person that was very much reserved and polite and happy, and you get the energy. But me speaking my mind more. It started when I was doing the show with SP3. People were like, oh, Sats choose violence, Sats saying things, all right. And people were reacting to it as well. People were like, they're loving the fact that my opinion was a bit different because I feel like people love Louis. They say Louis got, bad takes, whatever. And it adds well when you got a conflict with two opinions. And my opinion sometimes didn't really agree all the time with SP3 because SP3 loves AEW. I like AEW too, but I'm a kind of person, when I love something, if I see faults in it, I'm still gonna call out the faults. SP3 will as well, but I'm also like SP3 said I got a trolling like personality because I do it to get a reaction, to get a conversation. That's why I'm trying to get a proper heated debate. So that's why he calls me a troll. But yeah, it started with SP3. Our chemistry is great because SP3, he plays like the straight man to my kind of chaotic character.
So what about your chemistry? You spoke about with Alex, it's like having to be on your best behavior because of the strict parent.
Not in the beginning. That's why I used that analogy.
I hadn't finished my question.
Sorry.
That's what I was about to say. But then it changed over time. Do you know when that change happened? Did you recognize that change?
I'll probably say the change. I think like I recognize the change a couple of months ago, because I didn't want to like because I don't like stepping on toes and stuff like that. So it's all about gouging people's personalities, because you have to remember, when I work with these guys, we would have like a few minutes to chat before we go on air. So you don't really know someone, so you don't really know what someone's temperament is like. So the more I got to know Alex, the more I realized what kind of guy he was, the more I felt more relaxed, because I feel like I wasn't really relaxed in the beginning. That's what it was. So I didn't know, oh, can I say this? Can I go that far? And I was also mindful not to ramble, because that's the thing when you do a show. You don't want to ramble on. You don't want to take long with points. Yeah. So that's why with Alex, I feel like I have to be my best behavior, because in my mind, I was getting on the job training, because I didn't do it before. I've done stuff, I got a performing arts background, but for me, when I work with Alex and SP3, I'm learning. Even with Steph Chase, the one time I worked with, I'm always learning with people.
You mentioned your performing arts background, Ben.
Yeah.
Is it in drama and stuff like that?
Yeah. It was I did performing arts in college. That's where I met Willow Spray's now ex-girlfriend. That's why I met her, and that's how. Basically, if I didn't do performing arts and meet her there, I would have met Will. So yeah, it was from there.
How do you feel like your performing arts helped you with your backyard wrestling stuff, and then with the stuff that you do for Wrestling Daily?
I feel like performing arts was a great way, a great place to harness my charisma and my talents and my skills, and then doing backyard wrestling was very much cool. I didn't want to wrestle, by the way, because I had no intention of becoming a wrestler, and I didn't see any points of getting hurt. So that's why I avoided. Question. Yeah. There were times when I'll go there and guys like Will and other mates be like, "You big man, you should be wrestling." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to get hurt, I don't want to get drossed off. I don't want to get a broken neck. And then later in life, I can't really move because of something I used to do for fun." So yeah, I knew already that I wanted to do commentary. I wanted to be a manager, general manager. I ended up being a general manager on air and stuff like that for RCWA. But yeah, working there also helped because I had a character. The character was named Sat Swagger. That was a character name. Sat Swagger was the name.
Oh, what a beautiful name.
Thank you. It suit me more than Jack Swagger. But
what
yeah,
was the character then? Was it just like someone that was quite charismatic?
Yeah, very much. That's why you kind of see when you get the more cheeky side of me on Wrestling Daily. That's me at Sat Swagger. That was the character, very much. I basically, when I give you examples, Leo Rush, when he was managing Bobby Lashley, that kind of reminded me of the Sat Swagger character. Malcolm Bivens in NXT, he kind of reminds me of the Sat Swagger character, very much in that vein of those guys. And Slick is one of my favorite managers, because my favorite manager of all time is Bobby the Brain Heenan. Then Paul Heyman. But yeah, Bobby is the guy. I love Paul Heyman. He's done great stuff, but Bobby is on another level that I don't think anyone can ever touch in terms of commentary and as a manager. And also Slick was like, for me, my first black manager I ever saw. I always love his charisma, and he's somehow I also emulated in that persona.
As someone that has, shall we say, an affinity for wrestling managers, because you used to be one, do you think they'll become more prominent in wrestling as time goes on again? Or do you reckon they'll be like something that's left in the past?
So in AEW, that's already a thing. In terms of WWE, it seemed like NXT, especially under Triple H's leadership and guidance, you had Malcolm Bivens, you had Robert Stone. Robert Stone, for me, has been the least effectual manager since Tennessee Lee / Colonel Robert Parker, because that guy's inept. So I'm not too sure. I'm hoping that Malcolm Bivens, he gets on the main roster, because that guy should have been on the main roster by now. I hope he gets the opportunity to shine like the way Paul Heyman has, and the way MVP has also shone as well.
Do you think, because there was a conspiracy thing that, what's his name? The one that used to manage Chelsea Green, I can't think of it. Robert Stone, thank you.
Yeah.
As I said to you, my memory doesn't work very well.
No problem, brother.
Do you think that was a shot at AEW and he was like a parody of Tony Khan?
No, I think it's just people just been 2 and 2 together and getting 5, because Robert Stone looks like Robert Stone. The character was very much developed, because I used to see pictures of house show stuff, and because I remember I've been following Robert Stone from his days as Robbie E in Impact. So I
Yeah.
used to see his Twitter of him wearing suits with no socks, shoes with no socks, and him managing Tito Sabotelli and Madcap Moss. And yeah, that character was very much in the pipeline before Tony Khan became more of an on-air figure and presence.
Okay. This is just something I was curious to know, because what you thought as a former manager, because obviously I've seen that conspiracy flying around.
It's just a conspiracy. I feel like there's no direct link to that character to Tony Khan at all.
Before we get into generic questions, as we wrap this up, because I know you're a very busy man, I'm just curious to know, what is something that you feel like you bring to Wrestling Daily that the rest of the guys and girls maybe don't?
The rest of the guys and girls don't. You know what? The best thing about Wrestling Daily is everyone brings something different. So SB3 brings the more analytical side with Alex. Alex McCarthy is an all-rounder. So that's the thing you have to understand about Alex McCarthy. Yeah. Alex McCarthy has been able to create chemistry with all of his co-hosts, and it feels all different. With SB3, they have more of an analytical chat about wrestling, breaking things down. Where Steph Chase is more of the fandom aspect of wrestling, because Steph Chase has made it known she loves AEW. So there's more like delving deeply into the fandom aspect of wrestling with Steph. With myself, is more energy, more banter. I think what I bring is banter, to be honest. I just come across as a fan, because I am a fan. I'm not, you may put me in a wrestling media bracket, but you know, my only gig at the moment is Wrestling Daily. Wrestling Daily has afforded me more opportunities to do stuff like Quizomania, because you know it's also owned by Wrestle Talk. We're owned by Wrestle Talk. I get paid by Wrestle Talk, so that makes sense, that synergy. But doing the Greg Cherry Wrestling Tournament in a championship that I've been doing, I'm currently in that tournament. That opportunity came because of Wrestling Daily. SB3 has invited me. I've done his wrestling reviews. We're doing another one on Monday, by the way. So me and SB3, that happened because me and SB3 working together on Wrestling Daily. He's invited me. He also invited me to be part of his Survivor Series team, because we did a Survivor Series trivia on Sportskeeda. That's my first time on Sportskeeda. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Wrestling Daily. So even though, you know, I'm put in that bracket, I'm just very much a fan. I talk about wrestling how I would in real life, and I'm appreciated for that because I do it with humor.
Brilliant.
So I bring humor. I bring the humor. That's why I say.
I feel like you answered my follow-up question, which was, if you hadn't joined Wrestling Daily, where do you think you'd be? So that's cool.
I would just be a fan, an onlooker, maybe talking about wrestling eventually, because it was something I wanted to get into, like do my own platform talking about wrestling. But this has been much better than me talking about wrestling on my own platform. The opportunity that's come along, and you know, to work with Alex, to learn from him through that. He invited me to go to, you know, Wembley. We went to Wembley to watch WWE live. Through that, I got to be in a room as he's interviewing the wrestlers. I took pictures of them and so forth. So Alex, very much the guy he's on camera, he's like that in real life. He really has taken care of me, and I appreciate everything he's done for me. Oh,
that's really nice to hear, man. So as we wrap this up, we're going to finish off with some generic wrestling questions.
Yeah, go for it, because you know we got like 20 minutes, so make most of those 20 minutes. Don't worry, don't rush through.
Basically, these are questions that I'm sure you get asked on Twitter or just in super chats for Wrestling Daily and stuff like that. But selfishly, I want to know them. And as someone said that I interviewed last night at the time of recording, this will give you a place to go check this video out. I don't need to answer them anymore.
Okay, no problem. Hit me with the questions, mate.
Favorite match of all time?
Oh, I don't have one. I don't. So it's kind of like with favorite films. It changes. Like, for example, I'll tell you my favorite match right now is Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks, WrestleMania from this year. still in love with that match. So we'll go with that. But I've never had a favorite match. I've liked many different matches for many different reasons. But I find it quite hard to have one thing that's the best of all time because it changes. Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson had a great 30-minute match. There's been matches I watched in New Japan that I've liked.
A match of the year? Maybe.
But yeah, but my for me, the greatest match for me that I enjoyed is Sasha versus Bianca. Very much the story that was told in that match was incredible. So I'll go with that. I don't have one, but if I was pressed to answer that question, I'll just give you that one.
Okay. So you may struggle to answer the rest of these because they're along the same sort of line.
Favorite wrestler is easy. Yeah, it's easy. The Rock. The Rock. Psst. The Rock. I mean, it's easy. The Rock, because you have to understand something. So, you know, I'm a black guy. So when I was growing up watching wrestling, so you know how, so the way I explained to you, my wrestling fandom goes for many, many years. Yeah. So Kamala, Coco Beware, Virgil, guys then weren't really up to scratch in terms of they weren't really high level seen or pushed that well. Ahmed Johnson for me was my first like inkling of seeing an African-American star. So I was very much happy to see Ahmed Johnson rise, but due to his injuries, he didn't go far. And then Rocky Maivia came along. His dad is with Rocky Johnson, first African-American tag team champions with Tony Atlas. So I was happy to see him. I was like, oh, I love the Samoans because I understood the connection with Yokozuna, the Head Shrinkers, and The Rock. They're all related. So I even from then as a kid, I was clued in on that. So I was very much rooting for Rocky Maivia. Fans turned on him. I wasn't a smart mark then. I was just a 6-7-year-old kid that enjoyed Rocky Maivia. He became a heel, joined the nation. I loved that. He became The Rock. He, for me, was showing that cool black persona you didn't really see before him. So for me, in terms of diversity, he did a lot for me as a black kid growing up. In terms of charisma, promos, I tapped more into that because of him. So yeah, The Rock, 110%.
Was your promo style when you were a backyard wrestler, wrestling manager, should I say, based on The Rock or influenced by The Rock?
I think that the influence The Rock, if anyone's a fan of The Rock, the thing you get influenced by him is the energy, because The Rock had energy. There's a reason why he called himself the most electrifying man in all of entertainment, is because he had the energy with his charisma. Because besides him, my other favorite promo, wrestler with great promos was Jake the Snake Roberts. And he wasn't exactly known for someone for having big energy on his promo. It was more cerebral. It was more toned down. It was more realistic, very gritty. But with The Rock, it was the energy he did, the wordplay, the wittiness that came with his promo, but definitely the energy.
So would your favorite promo battle or dream promo battle have been The Rock versus Jake Roberts?
I don't know, because it's like their style would probably cancel each other out. I was happy with the promos The Rock did with anyone, anyone that could talk on a microphone. Jake is more, I feel like Jake, I would want to see to have a promo match with Arn Anderson.
So do I, actually.
Though, because Arn Anderson, even his style is also gritty, but it's not as dark as Jake. It's just more everyman type of promos, Dusty Rhodes. I think a promo battle between Dusty Rhodes and The Rock, that would be the one, because the energy levels would be off the chart. But yeah, in terms of deliberate promo style, Jake the Snake Roberts and Arn Anderson.
You brought up The Rock and promos there, and then obviously Dusty Rhodes, but favorite promo of all time?
Favorite promo? I'll go with Rock ones. The one he did before Armageddon, when he did the impression of Kurt Angle and Triple H, Rikishi. I did it for The Rock and The Undertaker and so forth. That was a great one. But my favorite Rock promo, there's many. Hollywood Rock, all the stuff he did as Hollywood Rock was great. But if there's one promo from the 99 era, is the one he did on Billy Gunn, because he eviscerated Billy Gunn. My name's Billy? Is Billy. No, Bob, you suck. And then he completely eviscerated him on a promo, and you never took him seriously as a singles guy after that. So that promo for me is one of the best, because Rock has had so many classics, but if there's one to get people to understand and see how great The Rock is, I'll go with that one, the Billy Gunn promo.
What is your favorite era of The Rock?
Hollywood Rock, because why was it the best? Because I, as a fan, got sick of. I saw from 2001 that fans started shifting a bit, and then 2002 got worse. I was just happy that he can be himself and tell the fans to screw themselves. That's why I was happy. And then he was at his most entertaining, most uninhibited. Some of the cusses he would use, like he called Bill Goldberg was it a whisker biscuit bitch or something like that about his beard and so forth. Yeah. He got to the point Rock Goldberg got kind of booed at Backlash because Rock was so wildly entertaining. It was at his most entertaining. The way he would do singing on his guitar, the music, because I love that song, like the Hollywood Rock theme during that time period. You know, the tattoo on his chest, the bald head, the charisma he was exuding, the I don't give a F, you know, exude through him. Because I didn't like The Rock when he was pandering to people. It was like, that's not really The Rock to me. Even when he came back, he was more Dwayne Johnson than The Rock. He was more, you know,
I was
The
just
Rock
going to
at
ask you about
best.
his current sort of runs.
His current runs is not, he's not The Rock anymore. He's just Dwayne Johnson, the Hollywood actor. Because Dwayne Johnson preaches, hey, you can do it, guys. Push yourself to the limit, guys. You can do it. That's Dwayne Johnson. The Rock would be like, I don't give a Rudy Poo candy ass about your life. You know what I'm saying? There's two persona. So Dwayne Johnson is struggling with that duality of Dwayne Johnson, the Hollywood persona, and The Rock, the wrestling persona. So Hollywood Rock was for me when he was just like last best. So yeah.
And I also think that's a nice mixture of the two, because he was very Hollywood, but he was still The Rock.
Yeah, but I feel like the Hollywood persona was more exaggerated, playing up to the hate the fans had for him for thinking he's gone Hollywood. Yeah. But his real life persona, he's a lovely guy, he's a motivational guy. Even me, when I talk, you see, I always make sure that I give thanks to the people that give me opportunities. I don't do personas or this, and that. I very much I give people their flowers. I tell people, thank you very much for having me on. Thank you for the opportunity. I let people know how much this opportunity means to me, because it does. Everything that I do, I consider it a blessing.
I'm the same as you. Like, I've managed over the last year, it'll be as this one goes out, to interview a lot of people that I consider heroes, such as yourself.
Thank you. I've only done it 4 months, and I'm honored that you consider me one of your heroes, man. I appreciate that.
Like, just people that I look up to, and it's like, this has been so cool. And this chat has been so cool, my friend.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I'm glad that I haven't stunk up this interview.
No, man. Like, I'm just glad that I didn't overly interrupt you, because that is something that I'm massively working on right now.
No, don't worry. Listen, you know, we said we would do an hour. Give me as much questions as you want. You know, we'll get it in.
All right. Favorite pay-per-view of all time?
Oh, favorite pay-per-view of all time. This is a struggle, because you know what? The recent All Out, we'll go with the recent All Out. That was great, top to bottom. The debut of Bryan Danielson. I went to sleep feeling like high, euphoric. I had a great sense of tingling sensation from watching that Adam Cole's debut. Swerve, Bryan Danielson is here, what? And then the fight at the end, and the match with Christian and Kenny Omega, the Bucks versus Lucha Brothers. You know, there's so much great matches that happened there. So I'll go with this year's All Out, because I've never really had a favorite pay-per-view. I had favorite moments in the pay-per-view, but I've never really had favorite pay-per-views. But if people ask me, one that I really enjoyed top to bottom, All Out from this year has been great.
As someone that grew up predominantly a WWE guy, correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Oh, also SummerSlam '92. I got a special place in my heart. SummerSlam '92, that holds a special place in my heart. There's other stuff, but yeah. Sorry, your question.
As someone that grew up predominantly a WWE guy, and I might have got the wrong end of the stick on that question.
Sorry, I might let you finish.
Is it quite nice to have an alternative now?
Funny enough, you actually gonna open Pandora's box. So WWE was my introduction to wrestling, correct? But as a kid, because I mentioned I had satellite, I had cable, I also had Eurosports. So I watched New Japan back in the 90s. And I also watched AAA in the 90s as well. So I actually had a wide scope of wrestling when I was young, because I loved anything with wrestling involved, so I watched it. But WWE, I would consider myself, I was more of a WWE guy because that was the first wrestling I watched. And I also watched WCW back in 93 when it used to be on ITV. So literally, I can legit name drop channels that used to be on back in the days. So I did have a wide scope of wrestling when I was young. It was when I got older, it was weird that WWE is the only one. And then I watched the wrestling channel. So I watched Pro Wrestling Noah, TNA, the early days, 3PW, 1PW, and New Japan I was trying to get back into, but it wasn't on the wrestling channel that much. It was just little bits and pieces. But Pro Wrestling Noah and RAH, a little bit of MLW. So I always been that guy who tried to watch different types of wrestling. So I wasn't predominantly WWE, but they were my first love, if you may say.
Okay, let me rephrase that question slightly then, because I got the wrong end of the stick, and I do apologize.
Don't apologize. We didn't get to that part. So it's safe to assume, like, my first introduction was WWE. So you weren't half wrong. It's just that I did watch other wrestling back in the days when I was young as well.
As someone that was watching when WWE was predominantly the only game in town then, is it nice to have a bigger alternative?
Yes, because I really wanted TNA at the time to succeed, but they made a lot of blundering mistakes and decisions that, you know, to this day Impact Wrestling is still suffering from. So it's great to see that someone like Tony Khan, who has a much greater understanding of wrestling than Dixie Carter ever had. So he's someone like ourselves, very much a fan, but he happens to have money and resources to make this happen. And he has shown that a super fan can indeed run a wrestling company. So yeah.
Because this will be going up in 2022, as we said, what are some of your goals for Wrestling Daily in 2022? And then where do you want to see certain things in wrestling go in 2022?
So good question, by the way. Good question. 2022, I just want Wrestling Daily to grow. As you probably may or may not know, we used to be an hour show, and then we've got 30 minutes taken away from us because they wanted to make it more digestible for new people that may discover us, because all the other Wrestle Talk product are like 30 minutes long, whatever. I mean, an hour long. So they wanted something that was 30 minutes that they can steer towards. So our viewership took a hit when that happened, because on my day we used to have call-ins, which was the most unique aspect of the week of
I think I did that Daily. A couple of times.
Bingo. So that got taken away a couple of months ago when we got, you know, taken into 30 minutes. And but we got a new producer on Wrestling Daily, because Pete Quinnell was mainly our producer. Louis Dangle, when he was around, he was also a producer for the show. When he left, it just became solely Pete, and then Pete has gone on to do more stuff for Wrestle Talk. So a new producer has joined in, and he's trying to make it his mission to help grow Wrestling Daily. And part of that was to go 30 minutes, to do extra content, which we do. Like the interview I did with The Inspiration, with me and Alex did with The Inspiration, is on the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel. I got to speak to Jessie McKay and Cassie Lee. So that was my first time interviewing wrestlers. It was a honor for me. Me and Jessie K actually got along really well. Me and Jessie McKay probably new best friends, who knows? LOL. Yeah, so we're trying to do more extra content, do different stuff for Wrestling Daily. But I just want the YouTube channel to grow. So we can also do Quizlemania War Games, because that's the caveat. If we get to, 15K subscribers, we face Wrestle Talk on Quizlemania War Games.
I don't know who to root for in that scenario as a fan.
You can root for everyone. You're the winner in all this. You get to see us, duke it out when it finally happens. Yeah, I just want the YouTube channel to grow. I want to continue to grow as a wrestling pundit, because that's what I do. I talk about wrestling. I want to continue growing that. I want to continue taking more opportunities that comes with it. I just want everything to grow.
To be honest, man, I think that's a really nice way to end it. So the question that I always wrap up all my interviews on is, obviously with YouTube and podcasting and things like that, we're all going to live forever in some sort of way. If if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you.
So what is one video that you're like, don't watch that, I've grown a lot since then? And then what is one that you're like, if people want to know my body of work and stuff like that, they should check that out?
I don't know, because like I said, I got my own YouTube channel. I got content on there. Only one content of me that I've uploaded there, but I'm proud of the stuff. I only upload stuff that I'm proud of. So
Yeah.
for me, there's nothing really I'll be embarrassed about. For me, I always find awkward situations funny. Any place where we can have humor and laugh at, I don't mind. Stuff I'll tell people to check out is stuff as Sat E Nyangi. E is my middle name. I'm shocked that you haven't asked to find out what the E stands for, because everyone wants to know. What does the E stand for?
Will
Because
you
that
tell
is my
me?
legit middle name.
Or is it one of them things that it's like, it's kayfabe?
I've enjoyed the CM Punk aspect of like, what does CM stand for, and then he's got many different reasons. So that's, that's what I've gone with. E, given many, E for electric, E for energizer, E for emperor, you name it. I've enjoyed that aspect, and I enjoy the fact there's a mystery. I mean, I could tell you, and that would be enough caveat for your interview. Do you really want to know? Do you want me to give you that
It's up
exclusive?
to
So
you,
we can
my
drop it?
friend. If it's something you want to keep kayfabe, you can. If it's something that you want to tell me, you can.
All right, this is my Christmas present to you. Sat E. The E stands for Ezekiel.
Oh wow, that's cool.
There you go. That's the shoot. Yeah, Sat TA. Sat Ezekiel Nyangi. That's who I am.
Fair enough, my friend. Obviously, this won't be going out around Christmas, but I appreciate you coming on. If you like this video, obviously check out Sat on the Wrestling Daily.
But the funny thing is, that's just to tell you. You can just bleep that. You should put a bleep so that way no one ever knows.
You should have told me that beforehand, because I can't edit bleeps.
You can't edit bleeps?
Yeah.
Oh, well, now you guys got the exclusive.
Oops.
Yeah, that's good. No, it's fine. There's no oops.
Oh, well. Anyway, as we wrap this up, I want to say thank you to Sat for coming on.
Thank you for having me on, Tom. And there was no rubbish in that speech. I had a great time talking to you.
Me too, my friend. Obviously, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Share it around, help the channel grow. Obviously, check out Sat on Wrestling Daily. Where else can the people find you?
I'm also on Twitter at Sat Next To. It's a pun because my name is Sat Next To. I'm sat next to Tom.
I asked you that in your DMs. I was like, what?
Yeah, and I was like, bless you. I was like, it's cool. I'm sat next to Tom. You get that? You get it?
I get it now,
Sat next to? Yeah. Follow me there on Twitter. I talk about films and wrestling and so forth.
Yeah, it's well worth doing, guys. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.